Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie The Great White Hype. Enjoy the movie. By the sixth round of the fight for the heavyweight championship, James Ropin had already beaten up his opponent. One more unanswered series of punches and the challenger to the belt collapsed on the canvas. Another knockout victory. The famous promoter, Reverend Fred Sultan, immediately came to the ring and stood next to the champion. Ropin is a little disappointed in himself. He wanted to knock out his opponent with a right punch, but he fell down after a left punch. That's how good the undefeated champion is. The press conference after the fight was interrupted by Martin Shabazz, a boxer who didn't get a chance to face Ropin in the ring. The champion makes unacceptable jokes. While the athletes are threatening each other, Sultan made it clear to his manager that the fight could still take place. Unfortunately, tickets are selling worse and the TV ratings are dropping lower and lower with each fight. There's no money even to pay the champion the promised fee of $10 million. Sultan hugged Ropin and said he loved him at least 3 times. The heavyweight immediately realized that the promoter was going to screw him again. There's no point in suing a scoundrel like that. And to get rid of the negativity, Ropin smashed his favorite singer with all his might. Sultan started to play the show, ordering the lawyer to sell his property and fire all his employees just to pay the champion's fee. And then he stood back and let a tear fall. But how can Ropin do that to the man who replaced his father? And in general, Sultan realized why the interest of the audience to the fights for the title has faded. People are tired of watching one dark-skinned man beating another. They want a white heavyweight. It made everybody laugh. Where are we gonna get one of these guys? Ropin himself wants to fight Shabazz, but Sultan cuts him off and promises that if the champion does everything he says, he will get $40 million for the fight. However, Ropin doubts anyone will want to watch a white fighter. They don't know how to box at all. Then Sultan remembered that the most profitable fight in the history of boxing was the fight between Larry Holmes and white Jerry Cooney. And if a white opponent is never found, then the Sultan will just create one. Mitchell Kane does a report on Sultan, an unscrupulous, disgusting man who has been running pyramid schemes since he was a child. Shabazz calls himself the #1 contender and is still hoping for a title fight, but this Ropin guy keeps running away from him in his 8 Rolls Royces. Sultan looks at the white candidates, but they're only good enough to be a punching bag. The next one was better, but was soon knocked out as well. The third was interesting looking like a TV star, but a couple of sidekicks turned him off. One by one, the white boxers went down after powerful punches from their dark-skinned opponents. Bambi's assistant, who was hired only because of looks, suddenly came up with a good idea. The champ hadn't lost any of his 38 fights in the professional ring, but he was losing in the amateurs, and he was beaten by a white guy named Terry Conklin. At this point, Shabazz bursts into Sultan's palace with his manager Hassan and 2 other ambassadors. They are all armed, but when Hassan himself is caught in the crosshairs, he suddenly concludes that violence won't solve anything. Sultan promises the uninvited guests that the title fight will take place. He gives his word. The funny thing is that the promoter is not even lying. The fight will really take place without Shabazz. Hassan, meanwhile, is trying to brush 4 red dots off his crotch. Once again, the trickster has succeeded in getting his noodles in the air. Hassan was happy to just get out of here with his genitals intact. Saul, on the other hand, couldn't take the pressure and crapped his pants. Bambi found Terry. He has his own heavy metal band called Extensive Head Trauma. Sultan came to a club where their white guy was belting out on stage. After the concert, the singer is brought in female fans and he culls them, waiting for a prettier girl to show up. While Terry was busy with the groupie, Sultan made him an offer to get back in the ring and take on the champions. And get $10 million for the fight. It took a long time to persuade the man, but for the fight to take place, it must be arranged so that this pot-bellied type got into the top 10 of the world ranking, and this despite the fact that he has not held a single fight in the professional ring. The honest and incorruptible president of the Boxing Association Escobar arranged it, and here Sultan announces that in 2 months there will be a fight of the century between the champion and the challenger, located on the 8th line of the rating. Everyone in the audience is stunned, and Terry is introduced as an Irishman, but simply because he is white. At the press conference, Ropin looks at Terry angrily. He lost to a white dude when he was only 17, and the challenger promises to beat him again and give all the money to the homeless. Journalists are wondering who will watch this disgrace, since this Nunium is not a professional or even Irish. Escobar was expectedly accused of being corrupt. Terry was brought in to see his coach, Johnny Windsor. He has only 8 weeks to get his charge in shape. However, Terry really only needs to look like a fighter. Once in the ring, he will be met. All the boxing magazines wrote that the future fight is pure fraud. It's a joint of Solo's press secretary. Meanwhile, the lawyer has prepared a contract for Terry that even other lawyers can't understand. Any interpretation of it in court will lead to endless litigation. In general, number 10 million, he will not shine. Reporter Mitchell Kane found some dirt on Sultan, and now he wants to meet him. The man was only allowed in without a camera. Sultan received him sitting in the jacuzzi. Photos show the promoter having fun with the Girl Scouts. Kane wants to destroy the villain, but the man suddenly offers him a job. A sweaty Kane returned to his team, asked to turn on the camera, and suddenly started promoting the upcoming fight. And Solo was led out of the room under his arms. He had just been replaced as press secretary by Kane. Vivian was very disappointed in her colleague and called him a sellout. Ropin is not preparing for the fight at all. He is watching TV shows and eating ice cream. The Sultan gave him an expensive ring. But the champion threw away the gift and his entourage jumped for the ring to take it for themselves. However, no sooner had the satisfied friend put it on his finger than Ropin changed his mind and ordered him to return the gift. Ropin's trainer entered the room and demanded that the boxer go to the gym, but he forgot about the training. Terry, on the contrary, is persistently returning his shape. Ropin did not come to the next press conference, but Shabazz did. He was tired of the champion avoiding him. Terry jumps up to the challenger. Shabazz calls him a lowlife and a weakling. Not thinking long, the Irishman smacked the lout and sent him to the ground, and Shabazz was pulled out by security. The Sultan is satisfied. Now they will sell all the tickets. The show continued when Kane showed up. He brought a bunch of letters that were supposedly addressed to the Irishman. Kane hid one envelope and read a message from a handicapped boy who would surely get better if Terry won. The sheet, however, was perfectly clean. In the hallway, Kane was summoned by Saul. The man stinks. He hasn't bathed all this time because his apartment was taken from him. Saul insists that Kane take Sultan's place in the organization and give him his job back. Terry is still trying to prove to everyone that he is not Irish, but when the girls in green are brought to him, Terry agrees to be one more. The man trains constantly and easily sends his sparring partner into a knockout. The champion's trainer claims that Ropin is also perfectly fine, although the latter smokes right in the gym and only runs after the ice cream truck. No wonder people started betting on the underdog. Terry wrote an aggressive song called Mr. Ropin, Mr. Ropin. The composition is about him kicking the champion's ass. Kane asks Vendor what they'll do if Terry wins. He also hints that if he does, he might promote the Irish instead of the Sultan, because it's best not to do business with that sneaky asshole. The fighters show up for the weigh-in, and in 2 months Terry has become a star with a lot of fans. The man promises he'll win and help the homeless. After finishing his cigarette, undefeated champion Ropin appeared in front of the crowd. He threw off his robe and showed the world a huge belly, which he ate for the last 2 months. He was immediately hit with garbage, and he also taunted a reporter. Kane went to Sultan and suggested that the champion might lose, because everyone saw his belly, but Hindi is sure that Ropin will crush his opponent. The big boxing night came. In support of Terry, spectators took Irish flags and donned green hats. Trainer Johnny Windsor is a known instigator. He specially prepared for his wore white gloves. This offended Terry because he was loved by everyone, not only for the fact that he is a great white hope, he is a great guy with a great right punch who wants to make the world a better place. Terry came out in a kiltie accompanied by leprechauns, the girls throwing green panties at him. They found a handicapped boy for him too, but the champ is in no hurry to appear in front of the crowd. Ropin is watching a movie about the dark-skinned hero Dolomite. His gloves are black, by the way. Shabazz jumps in the ring and accidentally punches his manager, so he's lost and can't recover. Ropin is still watching a movie, and Terry has been bouncing around the ring like a goat for half an hour, yelling that the champ is just scared of him. Finally, the trainer turned off the TV and escorted the boxer out of the locker room. A stern-looking Ropin walks out to Terry and starts brawling with leprechauns. Kane is already preparing to take Sultan's place. The commentators wonder how Ropin managed to squander his popularity and weigh in at 15 pounds in just 8 weeks. Kane informs Sultan that tonight is his last night. New champion Terry Conklin signed a contract with him. This made the promoter laugh. In the ring, Terry asked his opponent what it would be like to lose to an amateur. Vince Darren asks Terry to win tonight for the sake of the white race. The Englishman is even willing to forgive him for being Irish. The fight starts. The fighters exchange punches despite the weight Ropin is still very good at. The trainer asked him not to play, and soon he missed Terry's crowning blow. This made the champion angry because he wanted to look good on TV, and after a great series of punches sent the challenger to rest. The handicap boy even dropped the flag. The referee counted to 10 and Terry never got up. With Ropin with a heartbreak into the woods to the ropes, he won by knockout in the first round. Already at 26 seconds. Everyone in the audience was in shock, especially Kane. He wanted to talk Terry into a rematch, but the battered man had had enough, whining that he wanted to go back to Cleveland. Satisfied champion demanded to bring him ice cream, and Sultan was told that only for the broadcast of the fight he earned $135 million. Shabazz and his manager climb into the ring, still demanding the promised fight. Hassan's nerves gave out and he pulled out a gun. The champion pulled the gun and knocked out the manager. Afterwards, he fought the challenger and was suddenly knocked out by Shabazz. He was immediately embraced by Sultan and told reporters that it was a prelude to the next fight of the century.